Hello, good afternoon. My name is Kamran and I'm a senior project manager. Last week, I made a video about how to make a project schedule. Today, I would like to talk about how to make estimations of effort at the beginning of a project, at the initiation phase, or even before the project is started during the feasibility study. A lot of project managers have some difficulties in order to make some serious estimations of effort of their projects at the beginning, as there are a lot of uncertainties and as there are a lot of things which are still not clear. The scope might be too high level and too vague. We still don't have a team, or if we have the team, uh, they need more details and more facts and figures to provide us a serious estimation of efforts. At the same time, the stakeholders would like the project manager to provide a good estimation of effort of the project, which can be the starting point of making a business plan and a project charter. In Prince 2 terminology, we also call that the PID, the project initiation document. Well, I myself had a lot of experiences in the past and also a lot of challenges about how to make a realistic estimation of effort. The answer is you can't. At the beginning of the project, you cannot make a realistic and detailed and to the point estimation of effort as everything is still vague and high level. But you can make some estimation of effort based on assumptions on one hand, but also on complexity on the other hand. During the past decade, Agile made a very good starting point in the IT industry, in software development. And in Agile, we use the relative estimation techniques. That is mostly used at the beginning of every sprint in order to uh, estimate the user stories using story points. But in my experience, we can also use the relative estimation technique for big projects, and it doesn't have to be done in story points. It can be also done in man days, which can be translated in euro later on, according or depending to the resources that you would like to use. And you can refine also your estimation uh, further on with other techniques such as PERT. In this video, I would like to show you, high level speaking, how to make an estimation of effort at the beginning or at the very beginning of a project using uh, the relative estimation technique and further on pairs based on complexity. Stay with me. Well, hello again. First of all, we are going to use the relative estimation techniques. I think all of us in the high school learned about the Fibonacci numbers. The Fibonacci numbers are numbers which actually start from 0, then 1, and then again 1. And all the numbers are going to be summed up with each other. In this case, we are not going to use 0, but we start the Fibonacci numbers from 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 8 plus 5 is 13. These numbers can be used actually to visualize the complexity, the largeness of actually a kind of estimation. In Agile, we also can relativize them to t-shirt sizing. For instance, a number 1, which has the weight of 1, it can be visualized as extra small. And then 2 can be visualized as small. 3 can be visualized as medium. 5 as large. 8 as extra large, and 13, let's say it's going to be the t-shirt of a giant. Normally, these estimation techniques are used for a sprint of 2 weeks, but at the beginning of a large project, we can also use them and relativize them in man days. In order to do that, we are going to take a reference from the past. Let me just refer to this table. We can ask the team, and at the beginning, we are not going to use all the development team or teams, but we are going to use three key uh, resources, which can be the architect, the business analyst, and the tech lead. And we can ask them, all right, can you please name us a project or a part of a project in the past which can be relativized to one of the Fibonacci numbers or one of the t-shirt sizings? Oh, yeah, they can say we had a similar project in the past or a similar sub-project in the past, and it costed us 200 man days. And let's say in terms of complexity, that was a small project. All right. Uh, or let's say a medium project. I wouldn't call a 200 days project a medium project. So these 200 days are going to be uh, referred to the medium, and these mediums are going to be relativized to these Fibonacci weights. For instance, a small project is going to be calculated by 2 divided by 3, or an extra small is going to be multiplied by 1 divided by 3, and so on. On the other way around, a large project, this 200 is going to be calculated by 5 divided by 3, and so on. And then we are going to ask our architect, business analyst, and tech lead to make some estimations. I have already pre-filled these formulas with a VLOOKUP, so we wouldn't waste any time. But as you can see, our architect is going to estimate these feature, building up some reports in a data warehousing project as a small, so it's going to be calculated as 133 days. The presentation layer, well, he might say it's a giant t-shirt, so it's going to be relativized by 866, and so on and so forth. As you can see, I better uh, visualize them by comma separators, so they're going to be more visible. Sorry, my Excel is actually in Dutch, so the formulas are going to be visualized in Dutch, but that's not very important. So you can see actually a deviation in total between the calculations of our three key resources, because they visualize the projects based on their own experiences. So the question is, what are we going to do with these deviations? In order to do that, we can actually use PERT. PERT is a weighted average estimation. In order to estimate PERT, we are going to estimate the optimistic scenario, most likely scenario, and the pessimistic scenario. And as you can see, this is the formula. Optimistic scenario plus 4 times most likely scenario plus pessimistic scenario divided by 6. So I go back to my last previous Excel sheet, and as you can see, these PERTs are already pre-calculated. In order to calculate the optimistic scenario, we don't take account these totals, but we take the minimum of, for instance, these first features. And of course, the minimum is going to be calculated, which is 66 man days. And let's do that for the rest of the uh, features. And then the pessimistic scenario, that's going to be, of course, the maximum. So let's take the maximum of these features. And here you go. I better use the comma separators. It's going to be more visible. And then the most likely, I would use the average. Some people use the mean, but the mean can give you actually a wrong calculation. So I actually use the average, and in Dutch the average is called gemiddelde. So I take the average of these numbers. Here you go. As you can see, if you're very optimistic, our project is going to cost 1,000 man days. If we are more realistic, that our project is going to cost 1,444 man days, and if we are pessimistic, our project is going to cost 1,666 man days. So if we calculate the PERT, we are going to have a more realistic estimation, which is 1,407. And 1,407, statistically, it's something also in between of these calculations. You can be also more detail oriented, and you can divide this number by number of resources. For instance, your architect, your business analyst, your tech lead, and then your developers. You can go further, but it's no use. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. So let's take some percentages. From previous experiences, we know that an architect is going to consume 10% of our efforts. I'm very sorry. I hear that my kids are fighting somewhere. After this the exercise, I better go and be the referee and calm them down. And a business analyst might cost 20%. Tech lead might cost 30%. And of course, 40% goes into developments. You can go also further, enterprise architect, tester, the business, and so on and so forth. I just want to keep this very simple. So this exercise is going to be clear for everybody. So PERT is our final estimation. Maybe I better put that here. So our architect is going to our architect is going to work 10% of the features. Mhm. So his effort is going to be 140. The business analyst is going to work 20%. So this is going to be his effort or her effort. The tech lead is going to work 30%. Yeah, I better fix this formula. And the developer is going to work 40%. Again, the formula needs to be fixed. And of course, in total, we will have the total estimation of efforts. All right. So we have our total estimation of efforts in man days. And if you would like to estimate that in euro, you just have to put the daily rates of your resources. For instance, your architect might cost 900 euro, your business analyst might cost 800 euro, or dollars, or rupees, or whatever currency you want to take. In this case, it's euro. The tech lead might cost 850, and the developers are a bit cheaper. So we put them in euro. And we calculate our efforts. I better put it here somewhere. I just call it total cost in euro. So architect is going to cost us 126,000 euro or a bit more. Business analyst is going to cost us 225. Tech lead is going to cost us 358,000 euro or a bit more. And the developer, poor guy, he's the cheapest one. In total, our project is going to cost 1,048,000 euro, or let's say, yeah, 1,048,518.52 cents. And this way, you can, at the very beginning of your project, calculate your costs. Let's do some cleaning up. Right. So in man days, 1,407, and in euro, 1,048,518. There is also such a thing as the cone of uncertainty. So at the very beginning of your project, before initiation, you have a certainty of 50% that your estimation is correct. And when you start the initiation phase, and when some business analysis is clear, you might have to recalculate more in detail. And when you go to your execution phase, that's the phase in which, for instance, in an agile environment, you define your uh, teams and you define your iterations. You might have again to recalculate, and your uh, calculations might have a deviance of 50% as of the execution phase. So my business wouldn't like it, but here at the beginning of the project, I would take some contingency. First, I'm gonna uh, take the estimations in man days. Oh, sorry, it shouldn't be in euro. Let's take, if you want to be totally certain, you better take a contingency of 50%. But in some organizations, it's just not going to be accepted. And maybe it's better in order to, not awake the sleeping dogs, to take a contingency of 20%. Contingency. So we are just going to multiply our man days by 20%, and we have our total cost of ownership, which is going to be 20% more than the initial costs. A good project manager is also going to think about motivation of his contingency here. If you want to present these numbers to your steering committee, you better prepare yourself and have some explanation why you need 20% more. Uh, so at this moment, I don't know because it's a fictive project, so I'm not going to prepare any uh, uh, any motivation, but a good project manager will always be prepared and motivate the logic behind all those calculations. So that's it. And I hope you had some idea about how to calculate the cost of a project at the very beginning when people don't know the details and when things are vague. Thank you very much and see you on my next video.